shit.
We're on, man.
Yeah, you got to turn
So, hey, welcome to episode number 39 of Red River Podcast.
Red River Podcast, baby.
Today we're sitting in the undisclosed location of the Suffocation headquarters. It's me, Langan, and today our guest is Terrance Hobbs from Suffocation.
Hello, world. What's poppin'?
Randall's taking pictures.
Yeah, he's making me feel all corny with headphones on and everything.
He's making me feel corny whenever he tags me in a picture. And you know what it is? I always like, maybe I just feel like I look different. Like I feel like I look like I did when I was like 27. And then I see a picture of you tag me, and then I'm like, oh, this is what I look like now, right? That's what I look like. I guess
that's how it is for everybody, though. You look in the mirror, you see that same guy.
You see, the fact of the matter is I'm old, so when I see younger pictures, I'm like, fuck, what happened? This is god-awful.
And that's you know what? That's interesting, too, because no matter what, like, for someone like you...
Come on, Mikey.
For someone like you, yo, watch that BC Rich.
He's all good. No, that's the Scott Pavarnik. That's a good one, man. I mean, it's a BC Rich shape. Yeah, Scott's the man. Big up to Scott Pavarnik, my man.
But for someone like you, there's documentation of you for like the last 30 years, man.
Yeah, I'm like the most famous, not famous person out there. You know? I kind of look a little bit goofy, so I stand out like a sore thumb. But hey, it's not by choice; it's by age.
But just like seriously, like when you're playing, like, do you ever? I mean, you just have to like let it go, right? Because I'm thinking like. You can't be self-conscious. You just
I mean, a lot of the times, just like, all these Suffocation songs are all brutal and shit. So, for us, we turn around and we just go straight for it. You give it your all, 110% every time. And I think that gives you like a little bit more of an edge, and it allows you to like vent a little bit more and have like a little bit more of a relaxed atmosphere. Like you can see, I'm just sitting around playing video games other than playing my guitars and shit like that.
Right.
But that's on, my off time. Obviously, in like the next week, things are to start moving along. We're going to be going back out on the road, chopping North America tours coming. So
how long are you guys going out for?
We go out from October 21st to November 18th, I believe.
Oh shit! So it starts 21st.
Yeah.
So the first show is actually Frank's last Long Island show.
Well, no, we're gonna at the end of the tour. We're also gonna be back at Gramercy. So we're gonna start on Long Island at Mulcahy's, and then. The second to last show of the tour, we still end up going to Philly for the last show before we come home, but it'll be Gramercy, then we play Philly, and then we come back home.
Okay.
So, I mean, it'll actually be 2 shows for New York, which is a good thing because, we want to send out Frank.
A lot of fans here, man.
Yeah, for the people that can't really go out of the tri-state area, you know what I mean? They can catch stuff at the Gramercy, take subways.
Right.
The Mulcahy show, I guess, would be more for the Long Islanders. Either way, though, there's a train station right there. So if you really want to grin and bear it and come out to the island, come out and see us.
That's going to be a crazy show.
Maybe us New Yorkers or you New Yorkers can see Frank twice,
Now,
I've seen enough of them.
So
I love Frank.
We're talking 30 years here. Like, have you seen like people that have been going to the shows that long?
Yeah, man. I mean, for me, and especially for like Frank and stuff like that. I mean, I made a lot of great friends like all around the world. And in the beginning, it was kind of simple because like you could always remember somebody's face at a different place. But then it started getting like there was familiar looking people in different places and people that have moved from the places that you met them in a different place. And, after the years go by, it started to become such a mind scramble that it was like, whoa, now it's getting a little crazy. But there are those people that you obviously make friends with that and you've been talking to the whole time. Right. So I'm pretty fortunate, to have a lot of good friends that I made throughout the course of the scene and been out there, you know what I mean? I get to see them when we go on tour. They come through in town in their bands or so on and so forth, just on vacation with their old ladies. I get to run into them. So it's really nice to be able to, like, take the face and put it to the Facebook profile, you know, somewhere along the way out there.
It's amazing, like, what music does. Like, I play music, he played music, you play music. Like, you have the people that you grew up with, and then you have people that you meet while you play music, and it's just, like, amazing. Like, it's like the craziest connection that you're just, I don't know, you're in this room, and everyone's just, especially, like, a band like Suffocation that's so, your fans, like, love you fucking guys.
Yeah, I mean, in the underground metal scene, and I mean, I think that this speaks for all underground scenes out there. You know, the old punk hardcore. You know, oi music. You know, the list goes on and on. I think that like when somebody grows up with the style of music and it really takes to them, they usually become like a real diehard fan. And for the fans that have been listening to Suffocation over the last 29, 30 years, thank you, man, from the bottom of my heart. We really appreciate it. And you know, especially for us metalheads, we really take a lot of pride in our music and what gives us our place in the world.
Right.
You know what I mean? And you know, the people that stick with us throughout all those years that grew up with us as we were growing up, it's like it's really fucking awesome. You know, you can't really knock it, you know.
88 was the beginning, right?
Yeah, 88 was the beginning.
A lot of shit came out in 88, man.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, there was so much stuff that was influential. I mean, I was listening to like Cryptic Slaughter and, you know, Carnivore, and of course Slayer was out there already. And
do you know Cryptic Slaughter, fucking Blasco, was in that band?
Dude.
Bananas. I just saw him at Ozzy. Ozzy played.
It's a great band.
Right? Like that. Like when you put two and two together, and he has a podcast too.
Yes.
Super business smart guy. He does a lot of great stuff for like the industry and stuff like that. I think he's great, man. And that last Ozzy set was amazing. Whether or not it's his last tour, you know, I don't know.
We'll see.
I mean,
It's the second more tours.
Listen, it's really kind of tough because when you look at how music is so worldwide, I mean, you know, people in Israel don't even get like Nuclear Blast CDs, you know what I mean? Which is kind of weird, and I found that out just for the first time I've ever gone to Israel. They were like, you need to bring CDs. They're not like available in record shops here.
Really?
And I'm like, that's so messed up. How am I even going there to play if you guys can't buy my CD?
That is,
you know what
that's
I mean?
a great question.
Yeah, I was like, how the fuck does this happen? But it's word of mouth, and that's those diehard fans that spread the word and tape trade and do all the rest of that stuff. Now it's not tape trading anymore. You know, Lars Ulrich was right, you guys. He was right. I mean, you know, he may not be what you wanted him to be now, but he was definitely right, and he was speaking out for it. You know, and it's kind of difficult because you know, people in Indonesia, you know, they eat this up, and that's probably one of the biggest demographics for metal out there is in Indonesia. You know, there's people like imitating your name. You know, they'll be like Chuck Hobbs. It's like, what do you mean Chuck Hobbs? They like Chuck from Death, and they like Terrance Hobbs, and that's their name, and they put it up there.
Shit!
Do you know what I mean? It's the weirdest. It's the weirdest shit in the world, and I mean that's super cool. Thank you guys that over there too, but
So when
I remember seeing the Global Metal doc and being shocked at how. Have you seen that by Sam Dunn?
No.
It's just basically all over the world and all these different places where you never would think that metal would thrive, and it's
it's over there, and people are just bugging out about it. And in general, like for us to be able to go out there and even play a show, and to know that they can't even get the CD in this day and age when everybody is like MP3 trading, quote unquote, now, and as opposed to tape trading and doing all that.
How are shows like that? They must be fucking sick, right?
Yo, it was pretty sick. I mean, yeah, you know, I mean, you never know what to expect when you're in an underground type of thing, and especially with us, you know, we could be booked in a place that holds 300 people and it will be packed, or we could be in a venue that holds 5,000 with a couple other bands and it would be packed. Like, you know, there's those shows and you play on Mondays and Tuesdays and you're just trying to make your 15, you know, shirt sale to get your gas to get to the next show, you know. We take the good with the bad, you know.
There is difference, I guess, right? Because everywhere, because Monday and Tuesday shows, right?
Oh, yeah. It's like bands like Metallica and shit. They don't even play on those days because they know everybody's got to work, you know?
Yeah, that's an interesting dynamic that I don't think about, like, when you go on tour.
I mean, I wish we were at that level, but we're not. I'm happy underground.
Yeah.
I mean, literally underground.
Underground. But that's where we are right now, actually.
Exactly.
We get good service. But 88 had fucking, the first Danzig album. It had my favorite Iron Maiden album, Seventh Son of a Seventh Son.
That was a great record, man. But I was always stuck on Power Slave, man. Power Slave was like the shit. You know?
Yeah. Power Slave is...
I'm Peace of Mind myself.
Well, Peace of Mind is great. Yeah. I mean, we can't... Now we're just opening up a can of worms with Iron Maiden. You know what I'm saying, guys?
You know, okay, and I think for me, maybe it's like an age difference because I'm a little bit younger than him. And the first thing I heard was Seventh Son.
Right.
So I was 10 when I heard Seventh Son, and then from there I went backwards. And
that has so much to do with it. Because when that enters your world and it stays with you, you know, at that age.
Because when I talk to old school dudes, man, like that album hurts their heart. Like they're
Yeah,
just
because they were like, oh man, the band is supposed to stay this way.
Yeah.
You know, and everybody does that. When the band changes, they're like, oh my God, it's the end of the world. It's
Right.
like, cut it out, man. You know, it's the only
They're
thing.
trying something new.
Yeah, I mean, let alone you're trying something new. You just can't, you know.
yeah. By then it was like what they're.
I mean, it's one thing if you put out a piece of shit record. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like
But
if
that's
you
a
put
great
that and
record.
there's no passion in it, then that kind of sucks. Because then you're just seeing like the turmoil. I mean, you've
Yeah.
heard it on Breeding the Spawn. It was mayhem for us. You know, at that point in time, terrible production, mayhem riffs. You know, things weren't happening the way that they should. But I mean, as time went on, the band had changed and it grew out of those things, and
Sure.
people go to do their thing, and I'm supportive of everything that they all want to do. You know,
Yeah, man.
so.
What made like all right? So when you guys came out, like, what was like one of the main influences that made you guys want to sound the way that you do?
Well, I mean, it wasn't so much that it was a main sound that we wanted to sound like something else. I mean, everything was influential. I mean, I grew up listening to, you know, Black Sabbath and Jimi Hendrix and Led Zeppelin and then, you know, Venom and Yngwie and Slayer and Cryptic Slaughter and Wehrmacht and, you know, all the bands that you can think of, you know, from hard rock on down the line. And you know, we would just listen to all this stuff, so we were just trying whatever we were going to try. You know, so before Suffocation was there, like, you know, me and Frank were jamming with maybe Doug Cerrito, Mike Smith, Chris Basile, a couple of different musicians that from out of high school, you know, because we knew a bunch of musicians in high school. And we were just throwing things around and just trying to write heavy riffs. And I think once that actual lineup had happened, it was kind of easier because everybody was a decent musician to put together something, you know what I mean? And everybody was driven. And then, of course, we started listening to, like, you know, Destruction and Creator and all those bands that we still love to this day, you know what I mean? And from there, it was just like, we want to be aggressive. We want to have an aggressive sound. And everybody was so into just writing on their own that, I don't know, it just kind of all fell together that way. It wasn't like we had a specific direction at that point.
What was the scene like on Long Island back then? Like when you guys were like starting?
Well, on Long Island, it really, I mean, everybody was listening to, you know, King Diamond, you know, Merciful Fate, things
was
like
them,
that.
right? The
Ozzy,
Them record.
yeah, you know, Ozzy, you know, stuff like that. And of course, there was us underground heads that were listening to everything from hardcore, you know, Biohazard, Sick of It All, Agnostic Front, and so on down the line. Exodus, you know, it was all. I listened to so much hardcore and punk and you know, thrash metal. And that it was just all piled together. All those things from that era, like you could possibly think of. I had
But
listened
even
to.
like locally though, like who were your peers?
So locally, I mean, it was just as far as people that I knew. I mean, I had one guitar builder guy. His name was Mike Lusos, and he had worked with another guy named Billy Briones, who was working with some of the other people from Dream Theater at the time, which at that time was called Majesty, which is another band from here. Obviously, you know, things from that era, like Richie Blackmore and stuff, that, you know, he was another native Long Islander, actually.
Hell yeah.
He, you know, he was very influential.
I just saw him at the Renaissance Fair.
Yeah, I mean, you know, just killer guitar players out there, and, you know, those are the kind of things for me. I mean, being a musician, that's where I was at. I was like, well, I'm hearing all this stuff, you know, Eddie Van Halen.
Yeah.
And then on the other side of things, like, you know, the Paco de Lucias and the McLaughlins and those type of things.
Did you find like regular guitar playing like boring?
No, I always found it really fascinating just as a guitar player because I didn't know what I wanted to do, like, when I was a young kid. Like, as far as music was concerned, I always liked it, like, when I could walk up and, like, play a piano as a little kid. And I didn't know what the hell I was doing, but it was cool. And then when I was really young, I was watching the Tom and Jerry cartoon, you know, Is You Is or Is You Ain't My Baby, and that made me start playing, like, a stand-up bass in elementary school.
Oh, shit.
Oh, wow.
And I was doing that, but that, you know, and now picture me, you know, I'm only fucking, you know, 7 years old, walking around with a stand-up bass. And after that, I had a friend that was maybe like, I don't know. Well, I got my first acoustic when I was probably about 8 years old. And then I smashed it because I wanted to be The Who. You know, even though I was still playing the stand-up bass, I still wanted to smash the acoustic because
You could only do that one back then. If
and
you
my
can't
buddy
afford
had
it.
an electric guitar, and then once he started playing electric guitar, I bought a shitty one off another friend. And from that point, and it only had 4 strings, so you've got to go figure. It went from like a 4-string stand-up bass to a 4-string electric guitar, and I smashed the acoustic one because I wanted to be the Who, and I should have never smashed it, but I really shouldn't have. I would never smash any of my instruments today. I'm like, oh man, I love these things,
especially now.
Now is like.
But can you tell us how influential the Brass Monkey was back then?
Well, I mean, yeah, we used to go there. Yeah, I'm sure Frank told you some stories.
He did.
Yeah, that time it was god awful. It was definitely god awful. We walked in there, the girl had all these black and blues. We were like, what the fuck is this? We turned our backs to her, we slammed our beer, and we walked out and left. Yeah, that was a great time.
Shout out to them and Body Talk.
And Body Talk. Body Talk was pretty filthy.
Yeah.
It was pretty filthy in there. We've had some great times out here. But you know what? It's a different day and age. We don't even have the strip bars like that we used to when we were little kids and just turned 21 and wanted to go to this titty bar, Now it's all gone. We have to go like halfway across. Yeah, you got
you got your phone. You can just go on X videos. And watch
you
titties.
can go on X videos or you can order a call girl, which I don't do.
Yeah.
I'm telling you. All right, I don't do that stuff.
But all right, so you guys are starting out and like, I mean, back then really there was no like now you see it on TV, you see it everywhere. Like it was such a like underground market. Like you guys were playing together. What was like the end result? You were just kids just playing because I can't imagine that there was
the end result as far as that goes. I mean, as time went on, everybody changed and everybody had different demands on their lives and things like that. That made it more difficult to just be the band that we were then. So time goes on, things change, everybody get used to it, whatever. But for us, we just wanted to play like heavy music, and it was like we didn't. Obviously all those bands I talked about, even Morbid Angel, because that's where Frank was like Suffocation, because he liked Morbid Angel, so did I.
Right.
And it was like Suffocation, okay, that's a pretty broad term. We can use that. Fuck it. Let's do it. We were sitting at the mall and fucking the food court, eating, and our girlfriends are working behind there. They'd give us free food, and we didn't know what else to do but go to the record store and look for metal and think of shit, and that's what popped out, and that's what we used, and it's been like that ever since. And we didn't know that there was. None of us ever thought it would ever going to go to this kind of thing. I didn't think I was going to have a whole bunch of like music gear, and I could, go on tour and meet people, see my friends, and do this over a couple decades. So the end result, like for everybody else, like it's really just a hobby, but you're fortunate to be able to do what you want to do when you can do it. And
when did you realize that it was like more than a hobby? Like what year?
Well, I would have to say for me, it was like, the band had broken up for a minute from like 1998 or something to like 2003, 2004. Yeah. And, during that time I was working a job, and it was just, being a soda jerk, doing deliveries, installing systems at bars and restaurants. And
still playing?
Shit. And I was still playing my guitar, but the band wasn't together, so it was just like I was doing it on the side for myself, And, Frank decided he wanted to get the band back together, and I had some opportunities, and I had to make a choice. I was like, well, I could go and work for this company. It's good money. It has everything. Or I could go out and play music. And I was like, fuck it, I'm playing music.
That's it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I was like, I don't care. It's like, what's life all about? I mean, if you can't do what you love to do, then what
take another shot at it.
Yeah, what fucking good is it? You know what I mean?
Yeah, you've gone for like 5 years, basically. So in that time, did you notice that like the catalog was popping again? People were like...
Well, I mean, it's always been... It's not like it was going off the hook or being overly consistent or something to that effect,
But passed down, like people...
But, yeah, I mean, some people would be like, oh, that was a great record, stuff like that. It's like, yeah, okay, great, thanks, I was just playing whatever, having a good time. I had a little 4-track back then, and I was just writing riffs on a 4-track cassette recorder, and it grew from there. Now it's like I'm sitting here with Pro Tools and shit, and things are a little bit nicer, But, as far as it, like, for me maturing and making that type of life choice and saying, dude, I'm going to do it, it was probably at that point in time, because Frank really wanted to do it. I was like, man, I miss being able to go out and play shows too, even if the shows sucked back at the time and the band broke up and there really wasn't much of a scene, everything has its ups and downs, like disco, you know what I mean? It's like, oh no, disco's dead. It's dead. It's fucking dead. I was like, I'm glad the fucker's dead. No,
So you guys never put out a disco song like Kiss?
no. And then next thing, no. And I don't
just
think
hit
I
him.
ever will. I don't think I ever will. Not in this band anyway.
Side project.
Yeah, hey, look, if they paid me $3,000 to just pluck fucking one note and just stand in the background, that would be great too. I couldn't say that I could complain. I'd be like, my guitar is awesome.
Yeah, we were just talking about Nuno Betancourt and like all these guys doing
Yeah.
like side work and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Would that ever be something you would do?
Well, it depends on what it is. I mean, I do occasionally I do some solo work on people's records, different metal sorts of things. Some's melodic metal, some is really, technical death metal, some's, it's all over the spectrum. But for me, I really spend a lot of time with Suffocation, for its writing and just trying to coordinate the next best bet for us and dealing with shit like that, But, I mean, I'm not opposed to trying to do something else. I mean, just playing death metal isn't the only skill on a guitar that I have, so I like to put those to use somewhere along the way. It doesn't have to be like, something that I'm setting my mind into.
Right.
It would just have to be something for an opportunity, and if it was a cool opportunity, maybe I would do it,
Like direct a horror movie?
Oh, directing a horror movie would be fun.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'd be like, no, you have to be like, you're fucking scared, and then this dude's going to come out of the woodwork over here, and you're supposed to act like you know what I'm saying?
Would it be
There's not enough fear.
So it would be a slasher then?
Yeah, it would have to be slasher, paranormal, extraterrestrial, and gut-wrenching gore.
Those are
With
your
a little bit of sex in it.
Those are your subgenres you like
yeah,
the
it
most?
has to. It has to have everything in it. It has to have like that, nuclear biological shit.
Okay.
So basically,
think
he
someone-
just described The Void.
Yeah.
Right. That movie was fucking great.
Thank
Fucking
you.
great.
I
Thank you
really
so
liked it. I
fucking
really
much.
liked it. The Void.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, The Void was killer.
Some people hated on it. I don't
Fucking
get
Nate
it. I
Vale-
don't.
Underworker.
I mean, what are you supposed to do? I mean, it was so in the vein of Seven Doors of Death, except for set in the hospital, that it was kind of fun and like a From Beyond type of thing.
Yes.
From
you know?
Beyond the end.
That is like
absolutely.
probably one of my all-time favorite.
From Beyond, yeah.
Yeah, I mean that was just kind of fucked up,
Yeah.
It was everything that you could want a fucking horror movie to be. Like violent practical effects, like some alien type
right.
shit.
It was like that was a classic piece.
But some people
Had like a Hellraiser feel at the end, too.
talk into this.
think
Talking to
Hellraiser
that.
had a-
Talking.
Yeah.
It became a trend to hate on the Void in the group. That's what happened.
Maybe because I hate on the witch, so maybe I start. Yeah.
I thought The Witch was okay. It wasn't that great. It was all right. Yeah, exactly. It wasn't like
I'm all
super-
about the goat, but that's about it. That
Did you
goat
guys
is cool.
see Long Came the Devil? Did you just see that one?
Along Came the
Did you-
I
Devil.
kind of liked it. I mean, it was a little slow in the beginning, but
Violent.
the fact that the evil continuously won made it so much better.
I don't mind a slow burn. Like a slow burn is fun. Like to me, like one of the best slow burns that I can think of, Starry Eyes. Starry Eyes
was killer.
fucking
Good one, Mikey.
Right?
Good one.
yo, like it had a great like you take your patience, the cinematography was great, the direction was great, and the last 30 minutes was fucking brutal.
Well, the payoff
Yeah.
has to be good if you're
yeah.
going to do
Yeah,
a slow burn.
it was. I thought it was rather.
You
Yeah,
know,
it was killer.
another terrible one I thought was Hereditary.
See, I didn't even watch Hereditary because everybody said that Hereditary wasn't good.
Yeah.
It was good until like the end, and it just wasn't like. I mean, it wasn't. It went from being great, and then it just went to good.
It's kind of like the Sinister movies. Like, after like Sinister 1 and then now like Sinister 2 is like eh. But I have to admit, The Conjuring 2 was a fucking great movie.
You know
man.
what? My friend.
For a second movie
Yeah.
to go along in like, a video type genre thing, that
Sure.
was fucking good.
My friend Chris Longito, Tara's husband, fucking swears by Conjuring 2. So when did you get into like do you remember like the first like horror movies that you saw? Like when did you really get into
Oh
it?
man. Well, I mean, out here in Comac, we used to have a horror, like a drive-in theater, and we also used to have
Oh
one
shit, yeah.
that was behind Smith Haven Mall. And there, like, I mean, when Star Wars came out, so that's like 1977.
Yeah.
We would always go to the drive-in movies, and that's when I seen Star Wars the first time. It was like at a drive-in. They had all sorts of, and we would go and see horror movies. So like Deep Red, that was out there. Evil Dead, I seen that like at the drive-in.
The first or
What
the
else
second?
did I see?
Awesome.
I think I seen what else? Suspiria.
Are you waiting for the Suspiria remake? The trailer looks good.
I hope it's good. Like it almost took me a minute for the new Evil Dead when it was like the new one.
Yeah.
You know, and not like Ash versus Evil Dead, but the new Evil Dead
Right.
that has
The
the girl in it. It took me a minute to really get all the good creepiness. So I'm sure people are like, oh, it's not Ash that way and everything, but when you watch it a few times, it's like pretty fucking
It's
sick.
fucking great.
Yeah.
But it's just Bruce Campbell is so fucking like
It's an icon.
He's just an icon. He's classic in that role, you know. It's like not. I don't think it took away from anything because it had its share of fucking pretty gnarly parts.
I think
man.
you got to keep an open mind with the remakes, you know. But they know they got it's stacked
Right,
up
it's hard-
against
it's-
them to
it's
fail.
hard.
So come with it.
It's
you know?
like, yeah, you're going to turn around and make a Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake, which I thought was good.
Which
you know,
one though?
I-
It
I-
seems
I
like
mean,
there's 8 billion.
There is 8 million of them. I mean, the one where the old lady was in the factory and she gave birth to him, and
Okay,
Early
so yeah, that was
yeah.
like with the sergeant guy.
Yeah. And
Arlie
he just
Full
Metal
died.
Jacket,
Yeah,
yeah.
Yes.
he just died. So, God rest his soul. USA for USA, motherfucker.
Yeah, man.
Anyway,
But yeah, so growing up, like, there's something, like, for me, for all of us, like, we always bring up, like, horror just made sense, and then the marriage of, like, horror and metal.
Yeah, totally. And it also has to have some tits and ass in it.
Yeah.
You know,
Just
bloody
like metal.
tits and ass, bloody tits and ass and metal and fucking horror movies is the best thing ever.
Just like the Rat Show right now.
Well, yeah, it's going to be some horror in there. You're going to have some, you know what I'm saying? You're going to have some old, 50-year-old,
Yeah.
hair teased out 80s chicks walking around still trying to bust out that spandex, bro.
Throwing those stilettos on in
Hey,
2018.
man, they
Throwing
might be the
their
cougar
panties.
you're looking for, you know what I'm saying?
Throwing the granny drawers at Stephen Pearcy, hanging them on the mic.
Granny drugs.
That's so amazing.
But there's something about that connection, and when I think of we always bring up Black Roses was like one of those movies, Trick or Treat,
Trick or Treat,
Yeah.
Right?
Awesome, yeah.
and the newest one, I think Deathgasm is a movie that doesn't get enough
I
love.
like Deathgasm. I heard they were going to make a sequel to it. I heard through the grapevine. I hope they do.
I hope so
Yeah.
too.
You know? What was that? Oh, what was that one fucking movie where they had Morbid Angel in the soundtrack? Was it like Night of the Living Dead or Return of the Living Dead?
Night
No.
of the Comet? No, Night
No.
of the Demons.
Night of the Demons.
Night of the
Yeah.
Demons.
There we
That's what
go.
it was.
Yeah, because I'm a big Demons fan. Like I would have just, But yo,
Demons,
that was
the Bava movie?
Yeah,
That's the shit,
That's-
yo.
That's one of the best horror movies ever.
Seriously,
No
right?
question.
But it's just the prosthetics, like when they're the teeth,
Right.
everything, when shit starts popping
Yep,
off.
the nails start growing and the fucking veins start blowing out. and-
Yeah,
yeah, it's so good.
isn't it so hard to compete? Like when you look at CGI stuff, practical effects are just tough to beat.
Yeah,
man.
I mean, the digital world only offers so much, and I think that like Frank Oz and all that shit with all the Jim Henson and the puppets and
Right.
everything that they did, I think that it was definitely way more realistic than all the digital that they're doing today. Like, if they can just make things more like that and bring up the technology on that better,
Right.
make it more lifelike and realistic, that would be so much cooler.
And when it's bad, it takes
on
you out
video,
of it,
yeah,
yeah.
because now everything is so digitally edited, and you see it. You know what I mean?
You
It's
see it.
it doesn't look like somebody took time to craft the things the same way. You know what I mean?
Sometimes I see some shit and it looks like a video game.
Did you like the digital Yoda or did you like the old school puppet Yoda better?
Oh
course.
man,
Right?
let me tell you this though. Don't
The
please
fight scene, though,
hold
was
on a
sick.
second. Tell me you didn't like The Last Jedi. That's another conversation. Oh shit, I'm sorry.
No, it's all right, man. There's a napkin over there, dude, or whatever. It's just this place is trash. It needs to be clean.
All right, so The Force Awakens comes, which was basically Star Wars all over again.
Right.
What did you think about that?
There's just some discrepancies, I mean, I thought all the movies were actually okay, just for sci-fi shits and giggles, but they were definitely brought to the level of Sci-Fi Channel movies. You know what I mean? where they didn't have that same, like, if they could have just fucking blown a fucking spaceship through the fucking Star Destroyer right quick, why wouldn't they have done that to begin with? You know what I mean? Like, just
That
shit like
ending,
that.
though.
You know that chick Ray is not going to fuck around with Luke and fucking yank him around. Like, it just wasn't going to happen. You know what I'm saying? So, and all that shit. And
The
like,
ending of The Last Jedi was so fucking good, though, man.
It was kind of gnarly.
Yeah.
It was.
Because I didn't know what was happening.
But, yo, the motherfucker couldn't just disappear out of nowhere and that's the end. Like, you know, come on. It's not the way he's supposed to die, bro.
A lot of shit, man.
You know, he's supposed to die like Yoda.
Yeah,
Good
I
point.
didn't really that part I didn't like. You know, like where you get to the end and you're like, wait, that was how it went. Like, it
When
went
are,
like
they
that?
gonna, when are they gonna make the whole story now about how, like, he was bringing up fucking Kylo Ren and shit and trying to train him and see all the shit that actually really transpired?
Yeah.
You know? I mean, we could just look at that. That would be something cool to look at, you know? But I don't know. I don't think that, you know, Disney is really going to do it justice.
Is anything gonna be good enough though?
Yeah, when they fucking get Lucas to, like, you know. fucking-
Really?
If they could.
Do
I
you
mean,
remember the last three?
You like the
yeah,
prequels?
Well,
Yeah, come on.
you know. what I'm
I
saying.
don't
Is
know.
anything, you know, like I always talk about certain things, like, you know, people complain about the ending of The Sopranos, the ending of The Wire. Like, is anything ever going to be good enough, you know? Like,
No.
it's just certain things.
Not for
No,
everybody.
because everybody wants it their way. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Like-
It's the Me Too movement, you guys. No, it's fucking not your movement, man. Just whatever happens, fucking Han Solo shot first, right? No, Guido shot first.
It's a great point, man. It's a great point. Never looked at it that way.
You know?
But yeah, it's just like The Sopranos. Seriously, you watch that ending, and everyone forgets it. All the episodes leading up to it. It's just that's just how it ends. Let it be.
I have
he
never,
died.
I have never been a Sopranos person.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, man. I'm just stuck in the sci-fi world. I think I like prosthetic, like, sci-fi makeup. Like, if I wasn't playing fucking guitar, or like, if I wasn't playing guitar, I'd probably be an animator. If I was an animator, I'd probably be doing like makeup horror fucking shit. You know what I mean?
I think it's coming up on Long Island that does it because you go to the local pizzeria, everybody looks like an extra from The Sopranos and shit. It's enough of it.
Yeah, it's like everybody's like, "Yo, Bobby Vito, yo, forgot about it." You know?
So, what are some of the latest sci-fi movies that you were digging on? Because we saw Upgrade.
Upgrade was fucking ill.
Bananas,
Wasn't that
right?
so gnarly? That was so good.
Oh,
That was so
One of
good.
my favorite movies. This
like
year.
I put
Yeah.
that shit on. I rented it. I was like, oh, I heard some things, and I start watching. I'm like, and then the fight scene comes, and then the knife.
Yo, that
through
shit
the
was like,
cheek.
it was so sick.
I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Then the achoo, like the
Yup.
sneeze.
Yo,
And at that point, I'm like, yo, this movie is bananas.
is off the hook.
And the fact that it's sitting here on Amazon and not in a theater somewhere reaching people is ridiculous.
Yeah,
Like,
it's a
really,
quiet
it was
release.
really, really a great flick, man. Very, very underrated. Yo, that was underrated, and also the other one about the video games. Oh, Jesus Christ, I'm so stoned right
Oh,
now.
Player
Ready
One-
Player One.
Yeah, Ready
I
Player
like
One
that
was good,
movie.
man. I thought it was pretty
That
cool.
movie got shitted on a lot
yeah,
too, but I, don't
thought
get
that was
it.
pretty cool.
that had we're not going to take it at the end.
Of course, I really did. I dig anything Marvel and DC comic. I'm just that way. Obviously, I like Marvel better because that Infinity Wars, Black Panther, fucking all those Iron Mans and all the rest of that shit is off the fucking hook.
Infinity, yeah, people
Yo, I-
love Infinity.
I swear to God, I'm on Netflix watching Luke Cage and Jessica Jones and fucking Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and all the rest of that. That's where my head's at, unless it's like a horror flick.
I haven't
You know.
seen Luke Cage, but I've seen enough to see the soundtrack. Soundtrack is bananas.
Yo, it's good. It's like real jazzy. Like there's so much. I don't know. It's pretty gritty, man. I can't say it's not. You know, I like the fact that Netflix has taken up doing those Marvel movies. So now that they have the series of Luke Cage, they have Iron Fist, they have Daredevil, then they have the Defenders, which is all four of them, and so on and so forth. And it like gives me something else to watch because, you know, as being a kid, obviously we always like were looking at, you know, cartoon characters.
Scrambled porn? I don't know.
Well, scrambled porn too, you know.
But now you're sitting on a tour bus, like, and you got shit to watch. Like back then, like, what were you watching in like '93? Like, you know, like 3 VHS
Oh
tapes.
my God, yeah, that's all that you had. You know what I mean? Everything was just on cable. It was what you had on cable. It was HBO. You know what I mean? You were watching Home Box Office.
Yeah.
I remember when HBO was new.
Yeah,
And then
me
they
too.
started putting like little short and specials between the like independent little short things from college students in between.
They didn't
know what
have
I
much content. I mean,
Yeah.
they played that Caveman movie with Ringo Starr like every like 3 hours.
I mean,
Ringo had to do something.
you couldn't even like start out like a video music channel like MTV nowadays that like only had like maybe 10 videos on it because video was new back then.
Video was new.
You know, now it's just like, oh yeah, you're gonna open that up. Like MTV isn't even like music television anymore.
Well, because no one's gonna sit around. I mean, I can go to YouTube.
Yo, you go to YouTube and there's every channel at the end of your cable spectrum of metal, hard rock, heavy metal, death metal, this, that, and the other thing. You can just turn it on and listen to that in rotation.
You like doing videos?
I would like to do more videos, but man, like as he was saying about directing a horror movie, I have no idea on what I would do for a video. So at this point, I'm just like, you know, it's like, what would I do? How would I direct it? So
Did you guys make one for the last record?
we haven't made one for the last record yet. We were even contemplating. We were so busy touring. I mean, I got a month off. I'm like, thank God, you know.
Rest those fingers.
Yeah.
Play video games instead.
Just sit there and coordinate. I mean, you guys this week, Mike had talked about setting this one up with me for a minute. And literally this week I did an interview for a Quebec book.
Wait, a Quebec? Oh, really?
Yeah, on metal from back in the from back in the 90s.
Okay.
And then I did another interview with Frank for like this thing called like Date Night with these girls all in pink that's on like cable access or some shit. So
How did that come about?
Even me being home just trying to relax, I'm still doing all the PR, man. You know, you got to do it. I got Mikey. He's my fucking secretary over here.
I mean, look at him. He's
Yeah,
a
look at him.
great
He's
secretary.
my homeboy. He was. That's how we got set up. You know.
You know, Jim Randall left him to you.
Yeah. Well, Jim's been my buddy for fucking forever.
Yeah.
I miss that guy. He should just move back to Long Island like he knows he should.
Why doesn't he?
What?
Why doesn't he?
I don't know, man. He's fucking Jim.
No. Great.
He's a weirdo.
Not us.
Good point.
Yeah.
But thinking of the last record, I feel like you guys should make a video because even though MTV's gone, YouTube is what
I mean,
it is.
it's always good to have a video for a record if you can do it.
Just the visual, man. Like the visual.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. And I mean, obviously, we have some people that would work with us, like Tommy Jones, who's done like so much videography for Nuclear Blast, Meshuggah, this one, that one. He's been all over with these guys now. It's just a matter for us to have time. I mean, we're doing this one with Frank on his farewell and this tour, so it doesn't really give us much time to theatrically think out a video at this point.
Okay.
Because we've been so busy touring, like it's just been kind of crazy. It's like as soon as that happened, bam, we were gone.
yeah, because the record's
You know,
been out
right
for
out
like
of
a
the
year,
gate.
right?
Oh yeah. I mean, I can't even tell you how many tours I've done for this record already in a year.
At this point,
But we still have half the earth to cover again.
Right.
Like, you know.
and Nuclear Blast does all that shit for you, right?
Well,
just booked that
they
tour.
help out a lot in helping us with the product and getting some promotion out there for the tours, stuff
Better-
like that.
better than using MapQuest these days.
Yeah.
Not
But
like
there's also, now at this point we have a booking agent that helps us to book shows, and then we have, management to help us keep things.
I mean, at this point,
in
like
order
at this
to
point,
some
like
degree.
yeah, where you guys are, like it's just so much easier. It
It
just
ha-
leaves
yeah.
you to write the
It
music.
leaves me to write more music, and also because the band has changed over the course of time, it gives me the opportunity to go back to the older songs and bring it to the newer guys in the band and go through the motions with them so that they get more of a general understanding on the music that we were writing back in the time, let alone them learning it, you know what I mean? So it's a catch-22 because you still have to write new music, but you still have to go back to the well to bring the old music to the fans that want to hear the older B-side songs of albums. Right. And there's 10 of them, so it's like 11, including a live one,
Very complex songs too.
Yeah, there's a lot of notes.
Yeah.
Lots and lots and lots of notes.
Very complex stuff, man. So
With all your history and stuff like that, I'm a big rock documentary fan. I watch everyone. And I know since 2010, weren't they be batting around the documentary with you guys? Or was you guys were going to do one?
Well, we were going to do it, but the band had gone through so many more lineup changes and things like that.
Right.
Also, the videographer that was doing it with us, things kind of got a little bit screwed up because his house got robbed. A lot of footage got stolen. His gear had gotten stolen. but the original hard drives that had like gigs and gigs of footage. So now it's like, but we got the hard drives back from him, but nothing with the edited versions of it because all that stuff was already stolen in his computer. So we needed to find somebody else to really go back over it, go through all that, of course, and we're adding more and more footage over the course of time. So now this has gotten compiled too, and eventually once we can get to the point where I guess Frank leaves, maybe if we have enough time, we'll try to spend the money to get like somebody to sit there, go through the footage, edit it, get the timeline and chronicling and everything else
down. A lot
down.
of history, man.
Yeah, there's so much that's gone on.
30 years.
Yeah, for 30 years and different members and where they're at and getting them on point.
That should be no problem to edit that.
Yeah, it should be no problem at all.
90 minutes.
So we're sorry to you guys about that. I mean, you know, it's been a tough road for us, and I mean, we're still chugging away and staying busy, as well as putting up with the ups and downs of things. So, you know, with that being said, it's going to be a minute before we get something serious like DVD, Blu-ray, or something like that out there.
Cool.
Are you looking forward to this last tour, like bittersweet kind of?
Well, no. I mean, I always hang out with Frank. He's my bud, man. I mean, I just seen him the other night to go and hang out for his girl's birthday party. So, you know. But as that goes on, it's also the same that Frank, for a long time, hasn't really been doing a lot of touring for like over the last 5 or 6 years. So I guess it had to come to a head somewhere. I mean, I wish him the best. He's like one of my, you know, best friends in the universe. And I told him, I was like, look, you know, if I do another Breeding the Spawn song, you're going to have to sing it and record it, you know. You don't have to go on tour for it, but you got to record it. He's like, yeah, I'll do it. I was like, all right, Frank.
Yeah.
You know, just to make sure that they keep the fans happy, you know. It's like when he's going to go and do. So, I mean, Frank's not really out of the music business. If he has the opportunity to sing on something and just get paid for it and do it at his leisure, then he would probably do it, but he won't be going out on tour for it. He's just not about the traveling and things
that's
anymore.
the big commitment right there.
And, you know, obviously it would be up to him if he was going to do it or not. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he did mention the touring is kind of like a...
It crushes his soul.
Yeah.
And for me, it's fun. Like, you know, so it's...
That is funny, right? Like,
yeah, I mean, over the course of time, people change, and I think it's just like he's got a whole bunch more on his plate that he's dealing with what he wants to do than with this, which is what I've always wanted to do. You know what I mean?
I got you.
So it's, I don't know. And I think that all the other guys really are really gung-ho in playing, like Derek, my bass player, and... You know, Charlie, the guitar player, you know, the drummer, everybody's really gung-ho to want to go out and play, make new music and do these things. So we're kind of fortunate that after this record came out, we'll be still doing the touring with him and still have more touring to do, you know. Crazy.
Yeah, I mean, and playing music, it's, you know, obviously, like, I've never done tours like that, but it allows you to see, like, the world, you know?
Yeah, man. I mean, I got friends in all sorts of different areas all over the planet that, like, you know, they would be on Facebook. You'd think that you'd never see them again. And it's just like after like the 4th or 5th time you run into them on tour, you know, you kind of get accustomed to the fact that you're going to see these people periodically and them come and visit you periodically, you know what I mean?
Right.
So it's pretty cool.
What are some of your, like, favorite places that you've been to? Nah, that fly ain't dying.
Yo,
yeah.
This guy, he's got to die with the music book, man. he's gonna die. It's fucking Mel Bay's music extravaganza. He's gonna get it.
That fly's got mad
he's
lives.
got some fucking mad balls, yo. He's trying.
I see those testes from here.
I can send him out of his misery. I swear I can.
He's gonna land on your other eyeball.
Nah, he won't. He's a wuss.
I need that.
He's just a fucking fly. He's a wuss. I mean, I'll deal with him for a couple more minutes, but then after that, it's just like
he's on borrowed time. Right
yeah,
now.
I mean, he knows that it was on borrowed time anyway. He'd probably be dead by tomorrow, but
Guy's a fan.
they only really last a day or something, right?
Big
Flies
Suffocation
lives.
fan.
He's living.
It's
it
only
up.
like a day.
Yeah. He's telling all his.
He's
fly,
lucky he's still alive, like right now.
He's telling all his fly friends that he's a Terrance from Suffocation.
Right now, he just gained an extra year of fly-ass life right now. You know, I was going to cut it short, like a fucking pack of cigarettes a day on that thing.
But, yeah, what are some of your favorite places that you've been to?
Well, I mean, I really like Barcelona, Spain. I like the Netherlands. I like London. Jakarta, Indonesia is always an awesome place. I went to the Canary Islands. I thought that was interesting. where else? I mean, South America is pretty awesome. I mean, you know, you go to Peru, you go to Bolivia. I went to La Paz, Bolivia, and it's like, you know, 15,000 feet above sea level in the fucking mountains and shit. It was amazing. It was like the craziest experience of my life.
Wow.
So there's a lot of places out there. I mean, Canada is awesome. You know, Montreal, Vancouver, Toronto.
All through death metal.
Yeah. You know it's really awesome city, and people probably wouldn't think it is? Mexico City. Fucking off the hook. It's really, really, really cool. And the food there is insane.
Yeah, I was going to say, the food's got to be amazing.
Oh, man. It's like my favorite, man.
You guys have done Wacken, right? Like,
yeah, Wacken Open Air Festival in Germany. Germany's awesome, too. It's just that, you know, I have a hard time getting weed in Germany.
Oh, yeah?
All right, so anyone listening
Amsterdam's
from
right over there.
anyone listening from Germany, you know what to do.
You know how to get hooked up at a Suffo
I
show.
always have a hard time getting this stuff over there. Man.
Yeah.
Happy smoke, man. Keep me sane.
Wacken is one of those like, you know, that's like a bucket list show.
Totally
Yo,
is.
it is
It's like a homeland.
It's a
A
heinously,
mecca.
ridiculously huge festival that usually has every single band that you want to see on it at one time. You know what I mean?
When I see
So-
festivals like that, I'm like, yeah, I want to go there, and then I probably get there, and I'm like, man, it fucking smells horrible out here, and I'm living in
Yeah,
the
you
mud.
know what? If you were gonna do it,
What am I doing?
you'd have to book all your shit super early and make sure you get a hotel that runs a shuttle,
Right.
so that way you don't have to camp there.
Or take a time machine back 20 years.
You know what I
when
mean?
was
If you camp
carefree.
at Wacken, just be prepared to just be a mud man. You know?
Was it like 3-4 days?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like a couple days, man. and
just the
it's
lineups
it's
are
serious,
fucking
man.
amazing.
I'm still like a festival fan. I love it.
Yeah,
I know
love
he's
festivals
not.
too.
Me too.
Yeah, festivals are great.
Bang for your buck.
If I can stage potato, I like it.
Okay, yeah. All right. Granted, if you could hang out on the side, it's a lot cooler than.
Yeah,
air
it's
conditioner blowing
nicer.
on it.
I mean, especially for me at this point, because now it's like I kind of stand out like a sore thumb.
Yeah.
So when I'm out at a festival and there's a billion metalheads there, it's just like
shit.
fuck. It's
Yeah.
like fuck. I'm just gonna be taking pictures. I'm gonna be blind by the end of the night.
That's
And-
true.
And
you guys-
I mean, half the time I just want to drink and watch a band too. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
You guys did the cruises too, right? You
yeah,
did
the
one of
cruise
them?
is fun though.
Whoa! What
It's
cruise
fucking-
did you do?
Well, we did 70,000 tons of metal, and we did
Heard
it
of that one,
twice. So
yeah.
we did it. What was it? Not last year. I think it was the year before, and we did it like 3 years before that as well.
Yeah.
And I mean, yeah, it's a party on the fucking boat, man.
Yeah. That's
So everybody get on that thing if you get a chance. Definitely do 70,000 tons. It's a lot of fun.
that's all intermingling, right? When
Oh
you're-
my god, dude, it's heinous. People just get wrecked, you know.
Yeah.
So you don't run into any punishers that just basically won't leave you alone?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely.
Like you're just
It's so
trying to
funny.
eat.
It's
You're just trying to eat a hot dog, you know?
Yeah, you know, it's like you run into them no matter where you go. I mean, it's just part of the name of the game,
Right.
you know.
And it's funny because like if you
And you know, it really those type of people are just really just trying to be, you know, friendly towards you. They
Absolutely.
don't realize that it's a little overbearing. Maybe they do. Maybe that's their maybe that's their MO. I don't know.
there
But,
goes Terrance. I want to make him feel uncomfortable.
Yeah, no, you're right. It's just like, oh, dude,
I'm not going home
I'll sit
tonight
there.
till
I'll
I
talk to
make
him for
the-
15 hours. Watch,
Yeah.
watch.
Time me.
Yeah, just watch and see what's going on right
I'm gonna
here.
ask him if he knows how to play scales.
No, I don't. I don't know. I just gum my guitar. I just gum it. I gum it with my teeth.
But
and
it now like everyone has like a phone that has a camera, and you're always like, so that's always like an angle. So it's like you have to be like camera ready.
I wish
always.
they could just make the camera flash where it doesn't stay on in your eyes in the dark,
Yeah.
because that I think really ruins it. 90% more than the fans wanting to take a picture is the fact that if there's 100 of them and they're all using that camera phone, they're just beaming this bright light in your eye in the dark all the time, and it's like really brutal. It gave me a newfound respect why, like, you see Britney Spears go running out of the limousine and she's covering her eyes. She's like, oh, I'm a little
Yeah.
fucking catty bitch. I can't fucking handle it. And you see it bugging out because she can't get in the store. It's because that shit will make you fucking blind. I am never. I mean, until this band, like, I never really realized that that's what it was all about.
It made her blind and crazy. She shaved her head and attacked people with an umbrella.
Yeah,
It's a weird era.
Yeah,
It felt normal again. Now. It's like it didn't happen.
the best was that episode on South Park, man, when they just chopped her head off and she's like, this is fucking best shit I've ever
Now
heard.
that's a show that continues to continue.
I know. I mean, I wonder what they're coming up with now, man,
as
with all
long
this
as-
fucking Democrat, like, Antifa shit.
Yeah.
I can only imagine what South Park is fucking scheming, dude. It's going to be, I don't know if they can make it any more ridiculous than it already is.
There's always new material.
No, but
for
they
that show.
do.
You know?
They as long as there's like current events happening, like they pull shit
Right.
out and they stay relevant. Like whatever, it's like parallel the news and whatever they
Right,
put on.
right. They just totally satire that whole shit into oblivion. Man.
With the
It's
cell
amazing.
phones, though, too. A lot of bands now, they're having the no cell phone policies and stuff. What do you think of that? They
Yeah,
turn it-
I mean-
what do you turn it in and you get a? You ever go
I
to
turned
one of
mine
those?
in for the Misfits.
Did you
Did
really?
you?
You had to?
I had to.
Whoa, that's kind of heavy. I mean,
Glenn Danzig took my
I
phone.
at this point, I'm just from that underground type of thing, and it's like a tape
Right.
trader thing. It's like most video fucking shoots of your band playing never sound good through.
Never.
Never
No,
sound good
never.
through there. So it's not like it's not necessarily not doing your band justice. It's just not even promoting your band. So unless they have like a live feed
Right.
and 10 cameras on your band, I don't see any reason that you should have to turn in your cell phone. What the fuck happens if you got to, you got to get a phone call from somebody who's burning down in their house? Like, what are you going to do?
There
know?
you go.
We put an episode up where I discussed the Misfits reunion,
That's right.
and since it had the Misfits reunion in the YouTube title for the podcast, they took it down.
It was gone.
automatically.
Really?
It was like one day I went to sleep, woke up, and I was like, "Yo, what the fuck?"
Yo,
Shut
you
down.
want to hear something funny? It was like the other day on Facebook of all
Can't even talk about
of
it.
all things. Yeah, right? On Facebook of all things, I turned around and they were like, okay, management, Nuclear Blast, send me a clip for the advertising of the tour that we're going to do. And they're like, okay, on this day you can put it up. I put the thing up, and then Facebook writes to me in my email telling me that I should make sure that I own the copyrights to what I just posted on Facebook. And I was like, and they were like, it's only going to be at half volume and only play like a piece of the clip, but you can activate it here inside your thing if you're sure that you own your copyright to what you just posted.
Wow.
Damn.
Yeah.
Now, how crazy is that?
Freaky, man.
No, that's kind of fucked up, man.
Yeah.
That's some oddball shit. Like,
Zuckerberg is our overlord.
yo, yeah, he's
Our
the
overlord.
overlord. He's like, you don't
Bow
own your
before
own
him.
music.
How
You can't post your own likeness.
How has Nuclear Blast been?
Oh, they're not a bad label at all, man. Actually, Nuclear Blast has been with us for a long time. And
Yeah.
I mean, they're everything that Roadrunner really needed to do. Like, Roadrunner had all the metal bands back in the early 90s, and then they dumped them all to go to the bigger bands. And then after that, it's kind of like Roadrunner really isn't like a label anybody really cares about anymore,
No, but Nuclear Blast is
Nuclear
like, they
Blast and
got a
Relapse.
roster.
Right, and Century Media and,
Yep.
and Metal Blade, those are the labels that people now, for the underground kind of music or for the more aggressive styles of music, hard rock and so on and so forth,
Right.
they just go to those. And I mean, I think Nuclear Blast is doing a great job. They've got a lot of bands under their roster now. They got Meshuggah, they had Slayer,
Tons of
they
bands.
got, they have fucking everybody.
Yeah.
They have us, they have Psychroptic, they got, you name it, Hatebreed, they have tons of bands.
Today,
styles.
even
So-
Madball.
Yeah. So I mean, you gotta admit, Nuclear Blast is doing something right. And when Suffocation first began, back in '88, '89, Nuclear Blast over in Germany was one of the first people to distribute Human Waste, along with Matt Jacobson from Relapse Records.
Okay.
So that kind of it cut it across for them in distribution, also as well for us. And the only bands that were really on Relapse Records at the time was us and Suffocation, and we were like one of the first 5 or 10 bands on Nuclear Blast out of Germany. So it was kind of cool to watch how both those labels have grown. And that we're still in the mix, and we still work with them, and it's a good thing.
And like you have to like change the business model now because it's so
yeah,
fucking
everything
different.
has changed. I said Lars Ulrich is right. Yeah, the business model has changed. I mean, buying a record or buying a CD now isn't like that. It's all got to be interactive,
Mm-hmm.
So there's got to be something. There's got to be documentation of you in the studio. There's documentation of you out there playing live. There's documentation of you playing your parts. There's documentation of there's an extra bonus track added for somebody else over there. Then there's a video attached to it, and then there's a box set, and then there's a game attached to that. So it's really now it's more marketing. More so than just a couple of songs that you're playing, you know what I mean?
Right.
It's really fucked up. There's a lot involved.
What is it like? What does a label do for you in 2018?
Well, all right. Like, for example, any label is going to turn around and have staff to help promote you, to help you get your artwork together, get the artist for you, convey the ideas. Get you a videographer to help you to get that out of there. Get you some T-shirts together to make sure that you have the album shirts, that you can work and pay back. Get you your advance so you can get your equipment, help you find a studio, so on and so forth. I mean, the record label does do a lot of things for their cut of money, Of course, now that there's iTunes and Spotify's and all the rest of this other stuff that's out there now, the digital medias, you can absolutely go there and just make a record and put it out there on your own. But you don't have a team of fucking, in 2 different countries and all their separate offices working on the behalf of the release to make it the best release that you could have for your record and actually spending money in order to promote you.
Just seems exhausting.
It is exhausting. So for a band that thinks that they're going to take on all the booking, all the management, all the contracts, everything else that goes along with it becomes a little bit unrealistic because in that kind of business aspect and changing the business mold, there's so much more to consider. So,
were you always the business guy?
No. I mean, obviously, I would look over contracts and read it and see what goes in and goes out. And as time goes on, you find out what you own, what you don't own, what your percentage was, what your percentage wasn't. Right. So, I've always heard from other musicians, get yourself a music lawyer. Please get yourself a music lawyer or some type of management that can look over your contracts. That would be the first thing I would tell a band to do. May cost you a little bit of money out of pocket, but just make sure that you do that.
So it's worth it.
Yeah, so it's worth it. Don't make the same mistakes that everybody does. Nowadays it's a little bit different for us because we have, we've grown quite a bit since then. It's not like we're rich. It's not, not buying 15, condos someplace. I ain't got 15 kookaroos, you know what I mean? Like, get them to the Greek and shit. I got kookaroos. You know how many Air Jordans I got kids?
But at the end of the day, this is your job.
Yeah.
And you get to play music.
And it's what I love to do. And it's like, I always have the opportunity to, like,
me and him will be miserable tomorrow at work.
Well, I mean, I'll still wake up and have to do some sort of something as far as work is concerned and negotiating and dealing with that kind of thing, as well as playing and all that. But
yeah.
That's just part of the name of the game. At least I don't have to do all those aspects because as time went on, it's gotten more complex so that there's more things you pay attention to as opposed to just writing the music and wanting to go and play a show.
You want your main focus to be on the music.
Yeah, I really do,
yeah.
but there's still certain things.
You got to watch yourself.
Yeah, it's more simplified now, and I have, management to work with and booking agents to work with and things like that. And, I mean, but it's not over cumbersome, at least at this point in time, which is a good thing. It would really suck if I didn't have management because then there would just be so much more on-flow of communication from outside in the world that they're working with that I would want to blow my brains out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it just seems like an undertaking. Like, you could do it, maybe, kind of, but
Right.
it's just so much.
I am not the one who's booking, 32 airplane flights, to get around the others.
Jeez,
I can only imagine.
I'm already tired here.
Yeah, it's like I'm not the one who's doing it. It's like somebody else.
Especially you guys go all over the
right,
world,
because
man.
then you need to see what that tour is. It's like they want you to go from a show in fucking the Philippines to Japan to Australia and fly at 5 cities there, and then go to New Zealand, play 3 cities there, and then fly to Indonesia, and then all those little airplane flights in between. Man, fuck all that.
You must have some nightmare travel stories.
Oh, that's an understatement.
You don't, and for me, like, I have a fear of flying.
No,
cool
I'm over it, man. I'm trained to pass out as soon as I get the plane.
Yo,
I mean, not even like from drinking. It's just like I know that when I'm getting on a plane, as soon as I get on it, I feel sleepy. I pass out. I don't even want to be in it.
I went to. I'm trying to remember what flight. It might have been Arizona. So I went to Arizona.
That's a baby flight.
It was only 5 hours. And
yeah, that's nothing.
Me and my girlfriend jump on the plane, and this fucking old dude sits next to us, and he passed out before the plane even took off, and woke up when the plane landed. Like he didn't even move. He didn't get. Like,
yeah, he was
didn't
inebriated. He ate sleepy pills.
I don't know what he did.
Yo, those things are great. If you can eat a pill and it'll knock you out for 8 hours, that's like the saving grace on an airplane.
Probably has it all timed out, like when he's gonna take it.
Right, exactly.
I mean, he was like, I think he was a rabbi, so maybe I'm not sure if what do they
Maybe he was just in a deep state of meditation.
Yeah, maybe he had
Xanax?
I have no idea.
Well, it could be.
But
it
I'm
could be an
sitting there,
all-natural herbal
I'm
extract.
white knuckling it. I'm a white knuckler, man. I don't know what. I'm just not flying to Indonesia. You know what I'm saying?
Yo, Indonesia. That's 40 hours of flying.
Oh, yeah, I can't even.
It's unreal, man. You do a 14 or 15 hours straight.
That's 3 seasons of Narcos.
Yeah, I mean, it is. It absolutely is. It's ridiculous.
You jump on the plane, and by the time you land, you're like, yep, finish season 3. I'm ready.
It's kind of crazy. You hop on it, and you pass out, and you wake up, and you're still on it, and for like another 8 hours, you're like,
you grew a beard and shit. You're like,
this is the most fucked up thing. I can't take a shower. This isn't right.
And everyone on that plane probably shit at least once.
Oh, at least, or passed out on your shoulder, was drooling on you. People get paranoid too, man. I was on a flight to Australia, and I'm sitting next to this Asian lady, and I knew she didn't really speak English that well, and we hit turbulence, and she started making all these signs for praying to God and all this shit.
Sounds like
that
me.
kind of stuff will make you nervous in general. And I literally grabbed the lady. And I was like, dude, everything will be all right. Don't worry about it. It's just a couple.
She was like, what?
It's it's a couple of bumps in the road. It's just like hitting a bump in the road. And I mean, we've hit some fucked up turbulence. Don't get me wrong. And I've heard some horror stories from the Napalm Death guys, and they still get in planes. So
no one came out of the closet.
Hey,
almost famous.
Look at what
Almost
happened.
famous.
Look what happened to Decapitated. I mean, they belly landed, and they still fucking hop on airplanes. So you got to take the good with the bad. If it's really your time to go, you're gonna fucking go anyway.
Oh, that's a very nice way to look at it.
Well, it's like rolling the dice. You never know if you die of a heart attack or a brain aneurysm tomorrow or something. You know
what it is? I just want to disintegrate. I don't want to. I don't want.
Oh yeah, sure.
I don't want 10 minutes to wait.
Oh no! It's just so cold and brutal that you'd probably instantly be dead anyway. The pressure would probably kill you up there.
I just think that drop down. All right, we have 7 minutes.
I mean,
6 minutes.
You seen that Red Bull guy just jump out of the shit from orbit, right? You seen that Red Bull guy? Oh my God, you got to look it up. Red Bull, the guy jumps from a balloon that's in low Earth orbit in a spacesuit. He jumps and he fucking it's crazy. He falls for fucking 10 minutes. It's
oh my God,
it's so intense.
At that point,
you see the curvature of the Earth when he jumps out of the thing.
Get out of here.
Yeah, it's a Red Bull capsule with this balloon, and at a certain height, the balloon will pop, but it's orbit, And
I love Red Bull and everything, but
I would, if you're on an airplane, I think that there should be ejector everything for you, and you should have
escape pod.
Yeah, man. What the fuck?
Sci-fi taught us anything.
How much money you got to pay for a damn ticket to go to Europe, and they don't even have an escape pod for your ass?
Where the first class breaks off from the coach, and
yeah,
all right,
guys. Look, you got better dinner than I do and more leg room. At least we should all still live.
I think they do that on Relapse Records, not Nuclear Blast.
Right.
You guys got to shift. But all right. So to finish up here, I guess you know what I wanted to touch on. Real quick, was the Long Island Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, man.
Yeah, that award's way up there over by my Rick and Morty's. It was an interesting thing. It was really interesting. I got to give it up to my friend Catherine out there, my other buddy Drew Martin, and everybody who supported us on the Facebook initiative to get us into it.
Yeah.
And
well deserved, man.
Yeah, I mean, we really appreciated it. I mean, Long Island's our home, so we don't really expect anybody to give a crap about us. We're pretty much an underground band, always will be.
When you write the songs, so you just basically come here?
Well, yeah, I mean, I sit in here, I just turn it on and play to whatever I'm watching or do whatever and just, make some riffs and see what I want to do, set a click track or something and just go over some stuff in my head and just piece together things piece by piece. I don't really sit here and just go, I'm writing a song today and that's it.
It never works that way.
No, it never works.
You never like.
And sometimes, even when you're working with a riff, you're like, I still don't like it. So maybe it'll have its time and place somewhere, but
revisit it later.
Yeah, well, if but it's just piece by piece by piece most of the time. The other guys also do the same thing, so we kind of collaborate together.
And Derek's down south?
Yeah, Derek's down south, but he's going to be back up here next weekend, so we'll be working with him just, very shortly. Like, this was our little vacation time for everybody to go back home and just get their brains together and eat regular food and shit and piss and shower in their own homes,
shit.
which is which is the most comfortable thing ever.
When you get to shit in your own place,
you gotta have a home base.
Especially when you're out on the road as much as you are. It's just like, oh man, it just gets a little seedy after a while.
What's the most disgusting place you ever shit at?
Oh man, dude, you don't even want to know.
I'll tell you mine, the LIRR.
Oh boy. Well, yeah, that's pretty rough. That's definitely rough.
Yeah,
I've seen my fair share of shitty airports, subways, venues, porta potties, you name it, man. I've seen one porta potty that there was just no way I was ever going to touch, and that was in the Czech Republic, and it had different colored things in it. It was like I didn't understand how it wasn't even real. It was fucked up. It was really fucked
Shout out to Mikey Stack and everyone that are in the Czech Republic right now.
Yo, but the Czech Republic is the bomb. Brutal assault all day, every day.
But I just wanted to get your thoughts again on Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Just like, what do you remember from that night?
Well, I mean, it was kind of twisted because let alone that we got to see Carol and Paula from the Magic Garden from when I was a kid.
With Randy Jackson?
No, Taylor Dane.
Oh, Taylor Dane.
Taylor Dane. Salt and Pepper was there. We were sitting right next to them which was kind of fucked up.
Was Spinderella there? Cause
yeah. They were. All three of them were there. It was kind of fucked up.
Spinderella was the hottest one.
Hell yeah.
It was pretty cool. I mean, it was nice to be honored, and have the news there and everything, and be able to check out the whole place, and the food was good. Drinks were flying. It was a good time. We had pretty much everybody there that was a part of the band.
Nice.
And I thought that was really cool to actually have that happen and just be awarded for the fact that we were here in Long Island. To have our name, on that banner was like really cool, and it was actually, I don't know how to say it. It was really kind of surreal at that in particular point in time. It wasn't like I was in the Academy Awards or anything, but
no, but still,
for Long Island,
like,
New York, to like actually, respond and give you some respect, it was really kind of flattering.
Definitely.
A cool little thing, man.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
And you get up on there. Is there like a stage and all? And do they play the music? In the background?
Yeah. So they had like a house band that would like, when you come out on the stage and play they were playing like Infecting the Crips and shit, all like lounge style. It was fucked up. Yeah, it was like really burnt. It was all laid back. It was I was like, holy shit, this is for real. Where the hell? And it was like the whole band looked up the tabs like online. You know what I mean? So it was kind of weird because I don't even know like if we ever even made tabs of that shit. Yeah. So however they were playing it was fine by me.
Did, yeah.
Somebody does, man. Anytime I'm trying to learn a song for whatever reason, I just go to YouTube and someone's covering it. It's amazing.
That's kind of interesting, man. I see a bunch of covers. I actually had some kid and he sent me like some sheet music, and he was doing it like for a thesis in his music school or something. He took one of the songs, Cycles of Suffering, from off the Pinnacle of Bedlam album, and he did it all with like orchestrations and instruments in his computer, and put like violins and shit on it, orchestrated all the different sections,
wow.
And it was probably, it was probably the most accurate playthrough of anything that I've ever seen that I've ever had done. Like I could literally like play the song to the song of my song and play it, and it sounded just like it. And I was like, that's fucking crazy. So big up to the guy who did that. I can't remember what his name is. I'd have to look it up and tell you at a later date. But
just real quick, actually, just because I'm thinking of it now, like, who would you say are your top 5 death metal guitarists?
Oh, well, I'm always going to have to say, like, Trey from Morbid Angel is one of my favorites. Rob Barrett, Cannibal Corpse, and the Hoppin Brothers from DSI. Of course, there's so many awesome guitar players. Muhammad from Necrophagist. It's not even like I have a top 5. They're all number one in my eyes.
They're all number one, yeah.
If you can hang playing that style of music, you're pretty good because it's so
yeah. They have
amazing.
so much. There's so much, especially like Muhammad. He's like out of control. Have you guys listened to Animals' leaders and Tosin Abasi?
Oh, yeah.
He's just like killing the game. But I mean, it's not even death metal. That's like more progressive. You know what I
very
mean?
progressive.
Yeah.
But there's a ton of really, really great guitar players. A guitar player from Obscure, he's amazing. Luke LeMay from Gorguts is awesome.
Revocation guys are
yeah,
really good.
Dave Davidson. He's probably he's up there. Like he could probably play in any band in the world. You know what I mean? Like just musically, from reading music to just being a really good guitar player. He's probably one of the best. There's a ton of musicians out there that are really killing the game. Like Mark Rizzo from Soulfly, you wouldn't know it, but he's just like he's an outstanding player. Like it's really is it. So for me to put my finger on like who's my favorite, I really don't have a favorite. But all those people that I just mentioned are like people that I'd listen to that I think are just great players.
And they still put out like records. Like,
yeah, they're still out there putting out records.
The last Cannibal Corpse record
It was ridiculous.
Yeah.
I mean, I have an affinity for Cannibal Corpse just because I
don't
grew up with
know
them,
their stuff, but I like
Yeah.
the stuff that I like. I listened to some of that new record,
Yeah.
like the Slasher Code.
Right,
It's
right.
fucking bananas.
Yeah, I mean they're pulling off tech heavy fucking brutal music, and that's all I can really ask for. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no doubt.
I mean, like Cynic, if the older Cynic Focus records and things like that, great records, man.
Sure.
So there's a ton of brilliant musicians that are out there right now, that are really killing the game.
I always found, I mean, there's a lot of bands that are really technical savvy and stuff like that, which you guys do, but you also, there's a groove, there's a breakdown that you feel, and that's probably like your hardcore influence,
Right, that has something to do with it. I mean, we always want to maintain the heavy aspect, but the technical aspect, so it's got to kind of have a mixture. We've done some really, really technical stuff like in the past, so we don't want to stay stuck in just doing that as well. So, we mix our formulas up between the technical and like the verse, chorus, sub chorus, type structures and like writing music, you know what I mean? So you just try to keep it interesting, give us some room to grow and get some things that catch in your mind, let alone it being all noodling all the time,
Right.
Do your thing.
Oh yeah, well, going on that too. One of the things I always respected about you and your band was, you look through the history of metal, and obviously Sabbath goes on the map and stretches it, to another level. Iron Maiden and Priest come on, stretch it to another level. And when I was a kid growing up, when we go back to the '80s and stuff like that, when I heard Metallica and Slayer, I'm like, well, that's as heavy as it gets. That's what I thought in my head.
Yeah.
And you guys had this vision to.
Yeah.
Like, how does that generate to go to bananas? It makes Rain and Blood look tame.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I think that a lot had to do with the drumming aspect of it, because as technology started to get better and it was easier for musicians to see each other start playing and like sharing things and learning different techniques, and I think it just slowly and naturally kind of evolved, especially for us. And at that point in time, it was just the right timing. There wasn't really a lot of drummers that were doing like blast beats and doing grinding and things like that. That's what made like Napalm Death and Morbid Angel and the bands like Wehrmacht and Cryptic Slaughter, which are like almost precursors of bands like that, like
Carcass.
Yeah, Carcass. Great band. That's what really started to kind of gel with us, hearing that kind of grindcore, going from thrash metal into like that super speedy, super heavy, dark kind of vibe. It was really appealing, and I think for us, we looked at it. I mean, like the first Carnivore record, for example, there wasn't really a lot of blasting or anything like that on it. It was more like a really, really hard rock, like Venom was back in the day. You know what I mean? Things like that. But then, the thrash metal started, the Bonded by Bloods, and all the rest of that, Exodus. All that stuff just kind of gelled together. It was almost like the same to me. Do you know what I mean? It was because I was listening to guitars, but then the drums started evolving into this more speedier thing, and I think
like a
that
natural progression.
Yeah, and I think people were trying to push the envelope more, and now it's to a point where people are just playing at BPMs that are just like ridiculous.
Right.
And I'm hoping that the guitar players and the drummers and the syncopation of it all, because that's what really made it sound good. You listen to Death scream bloody gore, and even though it's not like that grinding record, it's still like the heaviest fucking record, and it's like you could almost redo that today in the grind standpoint or the blast beat standpoint, and I don't know if it would come across the same way to the public the way it did with us as it being so brand new.
Do you think that Death record was the first actual death metal record and not Possessed?
Well, I mean, there was a lot of bands. There was a lot of bands that were doing death metal, and I mean, who am I to say one was before the other? I wasn't down there in Florida when everything started, so I couldn't even say who.
I'm trying to get a TMZ clip out of this.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't even really tell you. I just know that
used death metal.
For Possessed and Death, I couldn't tell you which one came out first, but I can tell you that there was some of the earliest ones, and that I really liked it a lot. I don't even know if fucking Bathory was out before that. I'm not sure.
They might have been, but they went different. Like they weren't. They were a bit venomish too, and then they kind of just all of a sudden went out in the Viking fucking really black metal.
Right, exactly. So, I mean, big up to both of those bands, because honestly, where would we be without them?
No question.
So, all right, man. I guess that's it. So you're gonna do this tour. It starts October 21st.
Yeah, and then I'm probably gonna take off a month, do some writing, probably think about that video. And then next year, just continue to tour, but we're going to probably just try to get over to the other side of the earth and try to do, the Australias, the New Zealands, the Japans, India, hopefully. We're working on some things for there. Get that out of the way and work on some new material and some old material so we can get something together, man,
Is Frank going to those other
Well, I doubt he'll do all those other countries. I would be happy if I can manage to get him over to Europe to say goodbye for a few festivals.
Right.
Really, it's the traveling that really kills him. So anything outside of the States is pretty much a pain in the ass for him.
Right.
And I'm sure that everybody wants to see him in South America and Australia too, but I don't think he's ready to do a full round of it. So if I can just get him over to Europe for a few festivals,
okay,
that would probably be the best I can do. I can't promise anything because for all I know, it's Frank Mullen. You know what I mean? It's up to him.
He got hit in the head with a baseball.
Yeah, he got hit in the head with a baseball bat. I don't know if he wants to sit in a plane for 15 hours, but I mean, I'll do it. I'll just eat Xanax and fall asleep for fucking 9 hours, wake up, eat breakfast, get off the plane. It's cool.
Jeez, you make it sound so good.
Yeah, sometimes it's all right, but yeah, I could definitely use a class upgrade to business class. That's for sure.
So, man, all this on, just 30 years of death metal, man. Amazing what music does.
Music, it brings people closer just like weed does.
No doubt.
You know what I mean? But, yeah, big up to the underground metal scene, man. You guys stick together, and it's great to be a part of it.
And you guys rep Long Island hard.
That's right.
That.
That's
I like because on your
New York all day, every
Wikipedia
day.
page, usually people will be like, they're from Long Island, but you say Center Reach specifically.
Yeah.
I love that shit.
I'm from straight up Santa Rico, baby.
Yo, shout out to Middle Country Road.
Yo, Middle Country Road, baby.
So thank you so much for doing it.
Yeah. Anytime, you guys. Anytime, man. Red River Inn. Be good.
Later.